Hey, this is Rich over at TVP Live with another quick tips tutorials brought to you by Adobe Photoshop Elements Tutorials Group. And let's jump right in with today's poster. I want us to know how to add windows to a windowless church. So here we got us a picture of a church, and we want to add some stained glass windows to this. So how do we do that? We went online and did a Google search for stained glass windows. And when you find one that you like, you just right click and hit save as. But sometimes the pictures might be locked into the website, and all you have to do is use a screen capture program. We use Screen Hunter, so you might want to do a search for that. But anyway, so I went ahead and grabbed this window from the internet, and I just right clicked and hit save as, and brought it into Photoshop Elements as a separate project here. And that's on this tab up here. All we got to do is grab the window with the left mouse button and drag it into our first project. I'm going to go up here to the tab over here, and you'll see that the first project pops up. I'm still holding the left mouse button. I'll come back down and I'll let go, and there's our window. This is how you introduce a new graphic into your photo, your existing photos. All we got to do is bring it up here, and I'm going to place it so that the bottom left corner matches the same corner. And since we don't know what size, I'm going to grab the upper right corner. We don't know what size to make it because we can't see the background. What I'm going to do is take the opacity of that particular layer right here, and I'm going to change the opacity to 50%. I can either hit the down button and drag this down to about 50%, and see what happens. It's starting to be see-through. So I'm going to bring it way down to, like, I don't know, 33%, so I can see both the window and the background at the same time. I'm going to bring it down here, place it right there, and then bring the size down to where the top matches the top that I wanted. Now obviously this window back here is a little bit wider, so all you have to do is grab the little square on the side and we can drag it wider like that. And that's pretty much all there is to it. One little trick is that when I bring the opacity back up to 100%, you'll see that it kind of looks fake because it's kind of too bright compared to the rest of the picture. What you want to do is actually sometimes just make the opacity down a little bit. So grab that layer again, and I'm going to bring the opacity down to make it look more realistic, something right at about 65%. And as you can see, that looks much more realistic in the photo. It almost looks like it belongs there. Now, how are we going to get the windows to go on the side here? We need to copy these and then bring them over to the sides. There's several different ways to copy. I can go up here to that layer. I can right click and I can say duplicate layer and then hit OK, and it just made a copy on top of the other one. So if I use the left mouse button and just drag it over, you'll see that it just made an exact duplicate, and that will put over here. We need one for this one over here. I'm going to show you another way to copy it. Is if I hold the Alt button down and use the left mouse button and just drag a new one over here. It's really that easy. But how are we going to place that over here and make it look real? That's pretty easy to do too. We got a perspective because the wall is kind of sideways like that. So I'm going to match the corner down here where it should be at, and all we got to do is come up here to Image, Transform, and Distort. And now we could take all the different corners and drag them exactly where we want them to be. And if the window was really in there sideways, we got to distort this so that it fits the frame sideways like that, kind of in a twisted manner. And now all we have to do is bring the opacity down about 8%. I'll take the eraser and I'll get a small eraser. Here's a brush, make it a soft brush. So we want a soft brush right about 9 point or so. And we want to draw the window in the back using the eraser. And what that does is, I'm using a shift click too, is I'm going to draw along here like that. And I'm not really drawing, I'm actually erasing. And I come straight down to about there. Now when I bring the opacity back up all the way to 100%, you'll see that there was a line that I cut out with the eraser. Now I can take the polygon tool and get rid of what I don't want of the window by drawing a polygon around the whole thing. I'll double click and hit delete, and there it is. As soon as I hit Control D to deselect, there's the window on the side, but obviously it's too bright there. So I'm going to take the opacity again and bring it back down, maybe a little bit less than the other one. That looks pretty good. And if you want it to actually be a little darker, I can always go to Enhance, Lighting, and Brightness, And watch what happens if I bring the brightness down a little bit. It's a little darker, so we can make it appear as if the sun is mostly behind the middle window. So I can bring this a little bit darker like that, and I'll hit OK. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with this one. And that's all there is to it. So now we just added 3 windows to a windowless church, and that's it for this tutorial. This is Rich, calling it quits, saying over and out.